All right, everybody. Round two, checking in. We're back again to cover Starliner. Starliner undocked a couple hours ago, and now we are gearing up for the re-entry. So, as promised, I'm back. I have changed and had some dinner. And so, yeah, thanks for joining me, and looks like they're going to start coverage in about 15 minutes. So wanted to hop on a little bit early, and yeah, so about 15 minutes, but figured that I would check in and see who is joining us. So okay, so we have Eric is joining us, Michael Maxey's back in the house. Welcome, Space Cadets, to Starliner's re-entry. Please remember to like and subscribe to Ellie in Space. I do appreciate that. We have people from all over watching. We have Mark from Northern New Hampshire, Anton from New Zealand. Wow, I'd love to go there. JJ Jones says, thank you. I haven't been watching your channel because I don't speak English and I don't activate the subtitles. So the subtitles are activated after the live stream. So sorry about that. They just don't do it in real time, but you should be able to watch after. Apologies for that. Mike is watching from Georgia. We have Wyoming in the house. Louisiana. Sean's in Louisiana. We have people from all over. Marcus says she is deep in the Legos. I actually haven't been doing the Legos that long, but I was out there doing the Legos and have to take a break for this. So, this is part two. The undocking was obviously could have been a challenging part of this whole getting Starliner back to Earth. Luckily, the breakout burns all went well. They had 12 short firings. They got out of that keep out sphere just fine. And now they are making their way to New Mexico to land in White Sands, New Mexico, where they did all that testing to find out what was going wrong with those thrusters to try and, recreate what happened on the way up to the ISS. And so why is it taking so long to get there? Well, they undocked basically over China. And so about 6-hour journey. Some people were wondering why it's taken so long. It's not taking that long. Kind of feels like I was just on here, actually. But thank you for all the people coming back. We have Thomas all the way from Portland. Thomas, I don't know if you know that I lived in Portland for a few months. My family lives there now, so that's awesome. Can't wait to go back. I love Portland. Sometimes I really miss it. Hello from South Padre Island, from Mars Embassy. Hello to you. I will be down there soon, I think, ? Not exactly sure when the next Starship launch will be, but I'm glad that you enjoy the coverage. And again, we're, about 10 minutes. To Kai, all the way from Japan, checking in. Hello to you. I don't know if there's a day that goes by that I'm not thinking about Japan. I really do miss it. So hope to come back soon. It would love to see you. And yeah, so it's not too late here in Texas. We're about 11 minutes out. And this, of course, is part two, the Starliner flight test re-entry and landing. So Starliner will re-enter Earth's atmosphere and touch down at White Sands Space Harbor in New Mexico. Starliner is scheduled to begin its deorbit burn pretty shortly here. And, or maybe it already did. No, it hasn't. Okay, they're going to start coverage a little bit early too. Yeah, so far good. Although, overall, is the situation that good? Not really. I mean, not really. I say that because, Starliner is 7 years behind schedule. and already having problems. We also know that Boeing, because this is a fixed price contract, that puts Boeing on the hook for the cost overruns that they've already incurred, which is equal to 1.6 billion. And oh my gosh, I need to pull up this article. Someone asked a question about the finances. Let's see if I can find. Eric Berger has been sharing a ton of information. So let's see if I can pull up that article. Eric Berger, I'm very excited to interview him, which I will be interviewing him in like a week-ish. Okay, sorry. Just trying to find that stat. Don't want to mess it up. So basically, Eric has released an article today talking about the fact that NASA isn't ready to buy more Starliner missions. They could, but they're not sold on Starliner yet. I wonder why. So Boeing could earn almost $2 billion more from NASA if NASA fully executes on the contract, which would be 6 missions. But NASA is a little unsure, right? Because, we've had some issues, clearly. I mean, the fact that Starliner is coming home without crew after 3 months of being up there, supposed to be 8 days. Yeah, okay, we've had some issues. So let's talk about the financials, right? Because a lot of people are curious, how much is this costing us? How much is this costing Boeing? So Boeing, as of July, has reported nearly 1.6 billion in financial charges to pay for delays and unanticipated technical problems. So this is out of their pocket. It's a fixed price contract. And they're probably going to have more financial losses. So this is, probably a conservative, guess as to how much they'll actually be out once they cover whatever is going to fix their thruster problem and the helium leaks that have, made this flight a you-know-what show. So Boeing has only paid them about 2.7 billion of the 4.6 billion total potential value of its commercial crew contract. Okay. So the Starliner contract that NASA awarded Boeing in 2014 originally had a maximum value of 4.2 billion, but contract modifications since then have added $400 million to the deal. So this is a lot of money on the table for Boeing. Most of the money NASA has paid Boeing to date has been for Starliner development costs, while the remaining funds under the contract cover future service payments for operational flights. So if Boeing walked away from Starliner, if they were to scrap the program, which is what a lot of people are saying to do, the company would be giving up nearly $1.6 billion on potential revenue from NASA, which would still be more than the $1.6 billion in losses it has taken. But that's only if NASA wants to buy the remaining 3 flights. And if I'm in NASA's shoes, see the hat? I think that I want to see how it does on the next flight before I sink more money into this, right? That's my guess. So there's some of the finances. Now, another interesting detail, because there was apparently another press briefing on Wednesday, but I was at that YouTube summit conference that kind of felt like a waste of time a little bit. Let's see, where is that detail? Okay, so here's something else that we learned. So after this flight, what's going to happen with Starliner? Are they going to have a cargo flight? When is it going to be? So Eric Berger reports that NASA has penciled in Starliner's first operational mission for August of next year. So, a little less than a year from now. But the agency, NASA, set that schedule before realizing Boeing and Aerojet Rocketdyne would need to redesign seals and maybe other elements in Starliner's propulsion system. So, yeah, that's probably going to take a while. And they're probably going to want another test flight before an operational flight. So my guess is that it's not going to be in August 2025, probably August 2026, but we're going to see. And Eric, who has, a lot more experience covering happenings in the space industry, says this also seems completely improbable. And so as it stands, those 3 of the 6 flights NASA has agreed to, but the other 3 are still sort of on the table. NASA has only given Boeing the authority to proceed for 3 of its 6 potential operational Starliner missions. And remember, the ISS is going to retire not too long from now, around the 2030 mark. And so then Starliner, which, was supposed to be rotating every 6 months with Crew Dragon, with SpaceX's very successful vehicle, would be basically obsolete. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Starliner moving forward. Thank you for the super chat from Rudy. Very generous of you. Re-entry time. Thanks for broadcasting. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying hanging out, talking about it. And thank you for the super chat. Thank you for coming back. I'm thinking that everything's going to go okay with the re-entry, but that's why we're here to see it live. So we are about 4 minutes away from NASA beginning their coverage. As you know, I'll unmute them and we'll hear what they have to say. And let me read some of your comments. We have someone watching from Zonfry from Tasmania, Australia. Do you know Marcus House? Because Marcus lives in Tasmania. That's awesome. Why hasn't Boeing said much? It's interesting. Boeing hasn't been on these press briefings, and apparently that was NASA's decision. But I don't know. There was a quote in here actually from Boeing's new CEO. Let me see if I can find it. So Boeing. Okay, so to answer your question, why hasn't Boeing said much? This is what Eric Berger says in his new article today. Boeing has not issued a public statement on its long-term commitment to the Starliner program since NASA's decision to end Starliner's crew flight test mission, but we do have secondhand information from Boeing's new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, and this was relayed through NASA Administrator Bill Nelson. Quote, he expressed to me an intention that they will continue to work the problem once Starliner is back safely, and that we will have our redundancy, or 2 options, and our crewed access to the space station. So sounds like they're pretty optimistic that Starliner will eventually work out, maybe not as soon as we would have hoped, but maybe they'll have a couple missions where Starliner and Crew Dragon can sort of, take turns ferrying, or as someone in the presentation earlier called it, the orbital Uber for astronauts. Orbital Uber. I like that. So Samus Aran, thank you for the super chat. Do you think it's better for Boeing if the capsule lands safely or has issues? If it has issues, then it justifies the whole debacle. I still think it would be better, hands down, if it lands safely. I mean, they've had issues. Do they really need more issues? If anything, that would just kind of make them look even worse. I think that there was dissent internally, and I think that the best thing for Boeing is if it can land safely, and we can say, okay, well, astronauts probably could have been on board, but glad that we didn't take any risks. I definitely think that so far everything's going nominally. And I think a lot of people expect it to go fine if they're very well versed in the industry. I think this story has kind of caught the attention of a lot of just the general public, And so I've seen a lot of comments of like, oh, it's going to explode. And I think that a seasoned, space fan knows that it's actually probably going to be fine. But if there's a tiny bit of risk and there's human life involved, well, luckily people now, based on lessons from the past, can speak up and can express dissent, disagreement, concern. So I think the best thing for Boeing is if it lands safely, because then they can hopefully starting get that recertification flight if they're going to have another test flight before their operational flight, which is still kind of, are they going to have another test flight before they have this operational flight? You would think so, but who knows? I will say I would happily, ride in a Crew Dragon today, but I'm not going in that thing. Okay. And we're back.
Good evening and welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center and our coverage of Boeing's crew flight test. I'm Brandy Dean with NASA.
And
I'm Lauren Brennicke with Boeing.
Woo!
Starliner safely departed the International Space Station and is on its way back to Earth.
Starliner is making its return autonomously tonight without NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams after a decision to return without crew was made during a flight test readiness review last week. But the team here in Mission Control will be watching over Starliner over the course of the next hour and a half as the spacecraft fires its engines to drop back into Earth's atmosphere and make its way down for a landing in New Mexico at about 11 p.m. Central or midnight Eastern.
The team here is led tonight by Flight Director Rick Henfling with weather assistance from Flight Director Mike Lammers. Henfling is just under 7 minutes away from polling the flight controllers here in the room on their readiness for Starliner to perform its deorbit burn at Starliner's landing zone. Teams in Florida, Houston, and New Mexico have been monitoring the spacecraft, famously undocked from the International Space Station at 5:04 p.m. time while flying 260 miles over central China.
NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams National Space Station in June as part of NASA's Boeing crew flight test.
Yeah, this is NASA's feed. This is the loudest it goes.
Atlas V rocket from Complex 31 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. That was 5th. They arrived at the International Space Station on June 6th. During that June 6th rendezvous, NASA and Boeing identified helium leaks and experienced issues with the Starliner's reaction control thrusters as the spacecraft approached the space station. Since then, engineering teams have completed a significant amount of work collecting and reviewing data, conducting flight and ground testing, hosting independent reviews with agency propulsion experts, and developing various return contingency plans. Uncertainty and lack of expert concurrence did not meet the agency's safety and performance requirements for human spaceflight, thus prompting NASA's decision to return Boeing Starliner spacecraft to Earth without the astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams aboard. The uncrewed return allows NASA to continue gathering test data on Starliner during its upcoming flight home, while also not accepting additional risk for the crew. Wilmore and Williams, meanwhile, have formally joined the Expedition 7172 crew and are going to remain at the space station conducting science experiments and helping with maintenance through February 2025. They're going to fly home aboard a Dragon spacecraft with 2 other crew members assigned to the agency's SpaceX Crew 9 mission. That is NASA astronauts Nick Hague and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. On Thursday afternoon, the hatches were closed between Starliner and the International Space Station. And earlier today at 5:04 p.m. Central, the docking hooks released Starliner, allowing it to separate and begin moving away from the space station and into place for its journey home.
Hi, Starliner.
You can see that video from earlier today playing here.
Thank you for the super chat from Mark, or where was that? From Mr. Hefo. Why isn't there an international standard suit interface that will hook up to any spacecraft? You don't change your clothes for Uber. That's a good point. But Mark answers.
We saw a beautiful display of Starliner's thrusters there.
different manufacturers of spacesuits at the moment, so no universal connectivity. We'll see in the future if that happens, but obviously Starliner and Crew Dragon, they're different. They require different suits, and maybe in the future there should be a universal standard. Apparently their blue suits that they went up in are coming down with Starliner, from what I read. How is that? Oh my gosh.
Williams also had some words to say for the teams here on the ground as Starliner was making its way away from the space station.
Well, we already heard that. We were watching earlier.
Station Houston, space to ground 2 for Starliner undock status.
Go ahead, we're with you.
Hey, Sunny, both the Starliner and ISS flight control teams have pulled go for undock at this time. The expected undock time is 22:04.
Okay, copy, 22:04. Hey, we're just looking at the flight control roster, and wow, it is the all-star team. You guys, it is the time to bring Calypso home. You have got this. We have your backs, and you've got this. Bring her back to Earth. Good luck.
Sunny and Butch, this is Chloe. Just on behalf of the entire MO team, I know the other flight control teams around the building, we thank you for your endless support over the years. We've enjoyed every training event and every meeting. We remember every setback and every revelation with you. The teams on the ground have worked countless hours over the last few weeks, months, and for a group of us, years to bring Calypso back, and we're ready to do that today. We wish you the best of luck in your increment, and Sunny, I will make sure the right people have your coming home song ready to play on Space to Ground when it's time for you guys to come home. Good luck and thank you.
Wonderful comments, Flight. We appreciate that, and we agree. Many years of great enjoyment, simming together, playing together, and being involved with each other's lives, and it's been special. Bring it home.
Bring her home.
Copy. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ronald, for the super chat. I'm glad.
That again was a conversation recorded earlier today between astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore talking with the Starliner flight director at the time of undocking, Chloe Meering. Since that undocking, when Starliner and the space station were flying 260 miles above central China, Starliner has been steadily increasing the distance between it and the space station, ensuring that it will be able to get into place to perform a 10:17 p.m. Central deorbit burn now in about 20 minutes. While it has been moving away, the flight controllers here on the ground took the opportunity to perform a few tests of Starliner's thrusters. During the test, the crew module's 12 small reaction control system thrusters, one of the jets, didn't fire when commanded. The reaction control system thrusters on the crew module are used to steer Starliner as it makes its way back down to Earth after the service module has been jettisoned. Because those 12 jets are divided into two redundant strings of 6, Starliner only uses one string during normal operations. So although this means a slight loss of redundancy, it shouldn't keep Starliner from getting through re-entry and landing as expected.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and Starliner has plenty of redundancy with this part of the prop system on the capsule, so no impact to the deorbit burn or reentry, and it's not required for flight rules. The team also tested 10 of the 28 reaction control system jets in the service module after undocking, and they all performed as expected.
And here on the ground, the team just gave their go officially to Rick Henfling, today's flight director, meaning that tonight's landing of Starliner is on. That again is scheduled to happen, touchdown at 11 p.m. Central Time or midnight Eastern Time.
Wait, what? It's going to touch down in an hour? 11 p.m. Central Time? For real? An hour? Oh my God, maybe I should take my stuff out there and go do my Legos and talk to you guys. Hey, some of you want to see the Lego. An hour? Am I hearing that right? 1 hour to land. Seriously? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should take it out there. Thank you, Ellie, for burning your Friday night to be with us. Well, I didn't know it was going to take an hour. Wait, so, okay. All right, you guys, they just did their go, no go poll. We're doing a go, no go poll. Can I take my laptop out there and do Legos while we wait? Is that cool? Will you watch me do Legos? Oh my gosh.
Once
Jeez.
again, Flight Director Rick Henfling has gotten a go from Starliner's for Starliner's deorbit burn from all of the flight controllers watching over the spacecraft's return tonight. And that again means we are officially on for Starliner's return to Earth at about 11 p.m. Central Time or midnight Eastern. The deorbit burn at 10:17 p.m. Central Time is now just 17 minutes away. That'll be a 59-second firing of 4 of Starliner's orbital maneuvering and attitude control thrusters on Starliner's service module. And joining us live from Starliner's landing zone with White Sands at White Sands Space Harbor in New Mexico, our colleagues Leah Cheshire from NASA Public Affairs and Boeing's Josh Barrett.
Okay.
Leah and Josh, how is it going out there?
Thanks, Brandy. It is going well out here. We
light?
are out here in White Sands. The weather right now is about 75 degrees and very light winds, approximately 6 miles per hour.
It's light?
This looks like potentially a picture from earlier today. It is quite dark out here at this point. We have a beautiful view of the stars, and we are lined up in the convoy getting ready to roll.
Okay.
That's right, Leah. So I've been out here for both of Starliner's previous landings. The first one was very cold. The second one was quite warm, and this one feels just about right. We're following along with 2 command vehicles. We've got the MLCC, or the Mobile Landing Control Center. They're tied in down in Mission Control in Houston with the people that you're seeing on your screen right now. We also have the MDTV, that's the Mobile Data and Tracking Vehicle. And on top of that, it's got a suite of optics on top. There's an infrared camera and 2 visible cameras, one of them with a telescopic focus. So those will be the first things that we'll be seeing Starliner with here from the landing zone. And you should be seeing those on your screens as well. And Leah's got a few more things that she'll talk about that should get some cameras on Starliner as well.
Yeah, especially the WB-57, NASA's plane. That took off just a few hours ago, just as we were heading out here to the landing site. So we arrived here at about 6 p.m. local time, which is mountain time. And since then have been getting ready, lining up, doing communications checks between the various teams, and just getting ready to eventually drive out to the landing site once Starliner comes down. So it is a sea of white gypsum sand out here. And teams are continuing to just prepare as soon as we get into that deorbit burn. So they are actually in a huddle right now, talking through some of the next steps for tonight, getting ready to come and join us here in the convoy as we await to see the deorbit burn. So with that, right now, we are going to turn it back over to you, Brandy and Lauren. We are going to stick around, though, and cannot wait to see Starliner coming straight across the sky. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Thanks so much, Leah and Josh. We are hoping to get some good views from where you guys are at later today.
Okay, so many of you guys.
Now, once we make that final burn to get out of orbit today, it'll take about 45 minutes for Starliner to reach its destination. Again, White Sands Space Harbor, New Mexico, where we just spoke with our colleagues from. Starliner is currently flying with its solar arrays pointed toward the sun, recharging the internal batteries to keep its systems powered through landing. The orbital maneuvering and attitude control thrusters, or what we call OMACs, will fire for about a minute to conduct the deorbit burn. That maneuver slows the spacecraft down from orbital velocities and allows it to start falling back to Earth in a head-down position. At the end of that deorbit burn, Starliner angles itself for re-entry.
I don't think it's going to crash.
The deorbit burn is just the first in a series of milestones we're going to be taking off tonight. To give you the full rundown, deorbit burn is scheduled for 10:17 p.m. Central. As we said, we just got the go for that a few minutes ago. It's going to be followed by the separation of the crew module from the service module at 10:20 p.m. and the crew module will then continue on its own. At 10:45 p.m., Starliner will begin to fill the effects of the Earth's atmosphere again for the first time since its ascent in June. And a few minutes later, around 10:47, the heat from Starliner's reentry will become so intense that plasma will begin to form around the spacecraft, causing a blackout in communications with Starliner for about 4.5 minutes. Once Starliner clears that blackout period, things will begin to happen very quickly.
Yeah, so then up next at 10:56, when Starliner is about 4.3 miles above Earth, the spacecraft will be done with the forward heat shield that is at the top of the capsule that helped protect it through re-entry, and it will jettison it to make way for the parachutes that are stored underneath. And then almost immediately, those parachutes will begin to deploy. First with 2 smaller drogue parachutes that are meant to take the edge off Starliner's speed. They open up in stages over the course of about 28 seconds. And then at 10:57 p.m., when Starliner is about 6 miles up, the drogue parachutes are released and 3 main parachutes are deployed. They also open in stages over about 16 seconds, but they stay with the spacecraft all the way until touchdown. And again, we are expecting that touchdown to come at 11 p.m. Central. Just before the touchdown, however, at 10:58 p.m., Starliner also sheds its base heat shield at the bottom of the capsule to make way for the inflation of 6 landing airbags hidden underneath it. And those will cushion the vehicle as it lands in New Mexico's desert.
It's probably worth mentioning that we do not have video from Starliner. If you think back to June on its ascent and journey to the International Space Station, it's not able to send video down when it's not connected to the space station, so we won't be getting in-flight views from it, but we do have several cameras out at the landing site as well as some aircraft in the area that we are hoping to get some views from. But of course, it is going to be pretty dark out in the desert at night, so they may be infrared or black and white views, but hopefully we'll get some good camera views to show you.
So sounds like.
And we're taking a live look now from the landing site, but the shot is quite dark at the moment. You can see just a few lights blinking there. Hopefully, as we get closer to the ground, as Starliner gets closer down, we will have some better shots.
So do you guys think it's going to land like just perfectly, or do you actually, some of you guys are saying you think it's going to crash into the desert? Let me know in the comments what you think. Yes, I have come to a different room to work on my Legos because I didn't think that this was going to be an hour, and you guys seem to say that you like Legos. So I am building the Disney, I guess it's Cinderella's castle, right?
I don't know.
I think it's Cinderella's castle, and then my boyfriend is building something else. Can anyone guess what he is building? Oh my gosh, we got a $50 super chat from Gary. I can't think of a better way to spend the evening than with Ellie and Legos and Space Chat. And my cat who's behind me. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you appreciate this, and I'm not getting in trouble for doing my Legos because they're very addicting.
The landing and recovery teams have been out in the desert preparing for the spacecraft's return for several days. I've been speaking with them to catch up on some of the preps that have been taking place. They ran through a full mission dress rehearsal where they practiced the landing and recovery operation with all the different groups and functions. And they've also been keeping a close eye on the wind direction to establish the best recovery zone out at White Sands. They've even sent up some weather balloons to check the wind speeds.
Tracking vehicles out there are equipped with cameras, so the team has been calibrating those. And again, although we don't expect any views from Starliner on its way down, we're hoping to get some good ones from those tracking cameras as well as aircraft in the area. We plan to have the WB-57 getting views while it is about 16,000 feet above the ground until the drogue parachutes deploy. And then at about 6,000 feet, we hope to see views from a Cessna in the area. And this is actually a current view of the Cessna as it makes its way out to the landing site, White Sands Space Harbor in New Mexico. And this is a shot from one of the ground cameras that we have on site. So again, although it is dark there, we are hoping to see to see some good views.
And in the last few hours, the teams there on the ground have been at the holding area loading up their vehicles, doing last-minute checks, making sure all the equipment is ready to go, and then shortly they'll begin moving into place to watch Starliner make its final approach. And then once Starliner lands, teams will move closer in a very strategic way. They will first stop at about the 500-foot mark away from the spacecraft, and then they'll move in closer to the 150-foot mark while ground teams safe the vehicle.
That first team on site with Starliner will be what we call the gold team. They start recovery operations by performing what's called a sniff test, where they use sensors to check for hydrazine, one of the propellants that Starliner uses. They'll be wearing protective gear known as hazmat suits to prevent exposure to hypergolic propellants. Hydrazine is used as propellant, and if it turns into a vapor, it can be toxic. After the sniff test, they will notify the rest of the convoy when it's safe to approach, and then they're going to check the winds, make sure the entire landing and recovery team is staged uprange from the direction the wind is blowing for added protection.
Now, everyone out there is part of a different color team, and they wear a vest with that color, so it's very obvious who does what. So the next step is the silver team, and their first job is to ground the spacecraft. Starliner will be powered down, but there could be some residual electricity. So before anyone can touch it, they will ground it and discharge it.
Teams here on the ground are reporting that everything is getting into good configuration for the deorbit burn. That's now just about 6.5 minutes away.
Can you increase your
going on with what we were saying? We also will have the blue team that documents everything that's going on at the landing site. These are photographers from both Boeing and NASA who have situational awareness cameras. And again, here's a view of those teams all ready to deploy at landing.
Hey, from Adelaide,
yeah, that's
Australia.
The that we were mentioning, and then of course you can
probably
see,
morning there.
Thank
you for the super
chat
chat.
in the background.
Thanks for joining.
In this black and white view. Now, the green team hooks up the HVAC trailers to Starliner to get cooling on it, but their first job is to put up an environmental enclosure on the spacecraft, and that enclosure looks a lot like a big inflatable. It wraps around the vehicle to get cool air around it and make sure the critical systems don't overheat.
Then the red team opens the hatch. That is mostly Boeing Fire and Rescue. They will back up the mobile access platform to Starliner's hatch, giving the team access.
I don't know.
And Starliner will be bringing back more than 900 pounds of cargo, including a nitrogen oxygen recharge system, or what we call Norris tank, that NASA will service and refill for future space station needs. The teams will unload that cargo before Starliner heads back to Florida.
Commentators, hydrazine.
Just over 5 minutes to go now until tonight's 10:17 p.m. Central Time deorbit burn. Team here on the ground reports that Starliner has gotten into the right attitude, kind of the right way it's pointing.
I don't have the right attitude.
So everything is looking good. We're on track for landing at 11 p.m. Central, midnight Eastern.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry guys. Every time I want to say something, they say something, and I'm sure, you know, some of this information is interesting, but once they're done talking, I will just let loose. Yeah, they filled the capsule with, I think they said 900 pounds full of stuff, including the suits, I believe. Yeah. Hydrazine is dangerous, and that's why these videos of, you know, boosters.
With just a couple minutes or 4 minutes left to go until the deorbit burn, we're going to check in once again with the landing team and Leah Cheshire and Josh Barrett.
Leah Cheshire and Josh Barrett.
Thanks, Brandy. Yeah, we are out here just waiting in the convoy area. Now, most of the team is taking part in a safety briefing right now as we prepare to watch the deorbit burn and the reentry and then move in toward the spacecraft. Like you mentioned, it's really dark out here. Josh and I were just able to take in the really beautiful sight of the Milky Way. It's so dark. So once the capsule starts to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, we expect to have a pretty good view of the streak as that plasma builds up around the capsule itself.
That's right. We should be seeing it come just over the southwest horizon, right through the saddle of kind of the mountains that are just overlooking the mountain range here. And remembering back to OFT1, kind of the view that we should be having here is that we'll hear the sonic booms as well after we see kind of that plasma envelope. And then pretty quickly afterward, it is pretty remarkable how quickly it does end up over our heads. We'll see the flashes from the mortars, which deploy those forward heat shield parachutes, which take the forward heat shield off. Then we start hearing those mortars, and then the parachutes start to deploy. And then it's kind of slow motion from there as it drifts down.
And we're seeing a lot of movement as teams have just completed that safety briefing here. So they're now all walking to join us at the convoy. So it looks like we are just a few minutes away from the deorbit burn, and the show is really getting on the road soon. So with that, we're going to turn it back over to you in Houston.
Yeehaw!
We are all just over 2 minutes away from the deorbit burn. At this point, Starliner has moved well away from the International Space Station and quite a few kilometers ahead of it as well. We had a number of smaller burns to ensure that Starliner was at a safe distance away from the space station before it performs the deorbit burn that will bring it out of orbit and on its journey back to Earth.
And yes, Eric.
Flight Director Rick Henfling and his team expect Starliner's orbital maneuvering attitude control thrusters, also called OMACs, to fire around 10:17 Central Time, pushing the spacecraft out of its orbital flight path and onto its journey home. This deorbit burn will set us up for a touchdown time of about 11 p.m. Central or 10 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time out there in White Sands, New Mexico.
Get out of here. Out of here. Yes,
Once it's there, control teams in Houston will begin powering off Starliner's radiators and solar arrays as the spacecraft now has enough power to get home, and sublimators will be taking over cooling. They use water to cool the cabin. Starliner is also, as we said, now in the correct attitude for performing the deorbit burn, and at this point, the service module and crew capsule are still attached to each other. 4 of the service module's 12 aft-facing orbital maneuvering and attitude control engines are going to be powering the deorbit burn, allowing them to separate safely.
And those engines are each 1,500-pound thrusters, meaning this burn will take about 6,000 pounds of thrust, slowing Starliner from its current orbital velocity and bringing it back to Earth's atmosphere for a smooth landing. The Small Reaction Control System, or RCS thrusters, assist here in holding Starliner in the correct attitude. During this test flight, our teams ran roughly 1 million computer model simulations showing all the different thruster combinations possible for a safe return to Earth today.
Just 20 seconds now until the burn starts. It'll last 59 seconds. And again, you be firing those orbital maneuvering and attitude control thrusters.
Look at, I'm putting a flag on top. Wow!
4 orbital maneuvering and attitude control thrusters on Starliner's service module are now firing, slowing Starliner down as the capsule begins its journey back to Earth. This will take about 59 seconds to complete. We're hearing all thrusters firing well so far.
So again, this is the...
You can see here those representation of those thrusters firing. Starliner's maintaining its attitude, and as those large orbital maneuvering thrusters are firing,
yeah, Christopher says, I can't...
Smaller reaction control system thrusters are also working, keeping the spacecraft in the correct position for the burn.
Oh, we have someone checking in from Tijeras, New Mexico. Do you see it? You should go outside. Thank you. I'm glad you're watching the stream, but do you see it?
Get into your bunker.
Still looking good.
Imagine, if you will, this is what it would look like if we could see it. Ooh, fabulous.
And we did see the deorbit burn cut off successfully. Teams here on the ground reporting a good burn. Starliner is now on its way to White Sands Space Harbor, New Mexico, and a planned touchdown at about 11 p.m. Central, midnight Eastern Time.
Okay. So that was sort of part 2 of the, how is it going to go? Hopefully nominally. The undocking was an area of concern, and now we've had a successful deorbit burn. So we kind of figured, like I said, if you're in the know with the space industry, we kind of figured.
Next up on the to-do list for tonight is the separation of the service module. With the service module's job done, it'll be disposed of over the Pacific Ocean, leaving the uncrewed crew module to carry on alone. In addition to all its other jobs, the service module has spent the flight protecting the crew module's heat shield. Jettisoning it uncovers that critical piece of equipment, allowing it to shelter the spacecraft as it begins traveling back through the Earth's atmosphere.
The crew module will then make its final attitude adjustments to make sure the heat shield is at exactly the right angle to provide that protection. And those fine-tuned adjustments are really just the strong capability of Starliner's guidance, navigation, and control system. In fact, on the 2 previous flights, Starliner made bullseye landings thanks to that system.
Starliner's maneuvering into position for that jettison at this time.
Oh, it's so hard to read the comments. Oh. Okay, so far so good. Now we're just kind of waiting for the actual landing, and apparently that's going to be in what?
Team here on the ground reporting that Starliner's in a good attitude, pointing the right direction for the service module separation.
And the service module has just jettisoned, separated, and is now falling away. It will burn up during reentry over a remote part of the Pacific Ocean, and Starliner will continue on its path to New Mexico, where the landing and recovery team is waiting for touchdown. Starliner is now angling itself and its heat shield for reentry. The entry interface is coming up in just about 10 minutes. That's the hottest part of the reentry process, with Starliner's heat shield reaching about 3,000 degrees. To protect Starliner from those heat loads, the spacecraft has what's called an ablative heat shield. The outer surface of that shield heats up to a gas, which then carries the heat away from the crew module through convection. And our team calls this process a game of 3s because during entry interface, the heat shield will handle those temperatures of about 3,000 degrees, but it will convert that heat to about 300 degrees with only 3 inches of ablator. And because of this protection during this hottest part of reentry, the inside of the spacecraft remains at about room temperature. When Starliner returned from its last 2 flights, the capsules landed with 2 black stripes up the sides, indicating the heat shield was ablated as intended. So we do expect to see that again today, and the team considers that a bit of a badge of honor.
A badge of honor? That's a stretch. What?
Me.
I don't know how much honor is involved in taking this home without crew. I wonder how they feel. Like, are they sad? Does it feel like it's a failure? Are they relieved? Or like?
I think it's got to be a bummer to be a super smart engineer at Boeing and to get clowned on all the time.
No. I mean Butch and Sunny.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing Starliner leave and.
Yeah, I mean they've got to feel pretty weird about Boeing if they saw him blow up on the way down, particularly after being able.
No. I'm saying like just it leaving. Like.
Oh right.
Like if everything goes fine, is it still like kind of like sad?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it is really weird that they don't have a camera. These renderings are great and all, but it is kind of weird. Yeah, John says, I wonder what happens from here on out, even if it comes back. That is, like I was mentioning earlier, kind of, an area of question marks. We know that the contract is for 6 flights. NASA says that 3 of them they're going to have operational, and when the next operational flight will be remains to be determined. Apparently, they are penciling it in for August 2025 to have their first operational flight. Remember, this is a test flight, but industry experts like Eric Berger say this is highly improbable. They probably won't have their first operational flight until potentially after another test flight. And so that could probably be actually in 2 years from now. And
once again, we did see Starliner deorbit or performance deorbit burn on time at 10:17 p.m. Central Time, and then quickly turned around and jettisoned its service module now that it has performed its duty over the course of the mission. We are still about 20 minutes away from entry interface, but things will start to happen quickly after that. About 4 minutes after we go into the entry interface, the heat from Starliner's re-entry will become so intense that the plasma will begin to form around the spacecraft, causing a blackout in communications with Starliner for about 4.5 minutes. And after that, we'll see Starliner jettison its forward heat shield that's been protecting the parachutes during re-entry. Then, when Starliner is around 30,000 feet above the ground, the spacecraft's parachute sequence will begin. 2 drogue parachutes will start slowing Starliner down, and then they'll detach, and 3 main parachutes will deploy and inflate. At about 3,000 feet off the ground, the base heat shield jettisons, exposing the airbags, and then at touchdown, those airbags absorb the initial force of landing, cushioning the spacecraft for a soft, safe return to Earth.
it's actually really hard to read the comments. I'm blind. Well, here's a theory. If there is no camera coverage on board, it is because they do not want anyone to see it burn up in real time. Then they can lie or obfuscate the actual results.
That's a hot take.
Oh yeah, people are pretty savage in the comments. It's very entertaining. Okay, Aubrey wants to know, how far over budget are they? As of July, it was reported that they are 1.6 billion over budget.
Currently, Starliner is about 213 miles above the South Pacific Ocean. It's just past the southernmost portion of this final orbit, coming around the southern coast of Australia, and now it's going to begin making its way northward towards the west coast of the United States for that landing at 11 p.m. Central Time, midnight Eastern Time at White Sands Space Harbor in New Mexico. Again, we've had the deorbit burn that took place just as planned at 10:17, a 59-second burn that changed the Starliner speed by about 290 miles per hour, 130 meters per second. That made way for the service module separation, and the next milestone we'll be watching for is the entry interface coming up around 10:45. Still about 10 minutes away.
I wonder if it lands just fine nominally, if Butch and Sonny are going to think, man, we could have gone home.
I don't think they care. I think they're desperate to get home. I really don't.
But do they really want to stay up there till February?
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty sick, but.
What do you guys think is going through Butch and Sonny's minds right now? Do you think that they are, sad to see Starliner undock without
live view
them?
here of the recovery forces staged near the landing site, ready to move in once Starliner touches down. We are taking off milestones as expected for that 11 p.m. Central, midnight Eastern, or 10 p.m. Mountain Time touchdown today in New Mexico.
They're fluffing it out.
Again, Starliner performed its deorbit burn about 12 minutes ago. The thrusters performed nominally, and the flight home is going smooth.
Smoothly. I'm just like insufferable. Why is it so hard to read these comments? I feel blind.
Control Plus will probably increase the comments without increasing the size of the video.
Oh, someone said, what about my super chat? I don't see one. Hold on. Sorry, Jungle Cruiser. There's so many comments. I had to look back for your super chat. Thank you for the super chat. SpaceX should be the only way. This is just sad. Well, you know, back in 2014, when this was all being developed, NASA wanted to have two options, you know, for redundancy. And so it wasn't the plan to have SpaceX be the only option, but Starliner has had so many problems that that's kind of what's ended up happening. And thank goodness SpaceX figured it out.
We're still about 14 minutes away from the entry interface, which is our next milestone. I think I said earlier that we were 10 minutes away. That was a mistake. But about 14 minutes from now, we'll be experiencing the atmosphere for the first time since Starliner launched. And since we do have a little time, we're going to check back in with the landing team. Lee and Josh, how are things going out there?
Everything's going. Same as always.
Thanks, Brandy. Yeah, that was a great view of the landing convoy all lined up. I was just watching some of the Gold team members getting suited up. As you mentioned earlier, that's going to be the first team to come in and inspect the vehicle. They're sniffing for those hypergalls or any of those dangerous fumes before the rest of the teams get the go to move in and approach the capsule. Of course, it's kind of a waiting game right now as we are still waiting to spot Starliner coming from the southwest. So a lot of us are outside of the convoy right now and keeping our eyes on the skies.
Yeah, that's right. We've got about just under probably 3 dozen vehicles all lined up in 3 rows, just waiting to get that touchdown signal. Again, going through that convoy list that you guys went through already so well. Behind that Gold team, after Starliner is declared safe, the Silver team moves in and they do the electrical grounding. They'll also stabilize the vehicle just in case the airbags start deflating. We make sure that the hatch has a good stable orientation for Red team to come in, and they're the ones with the hatch orientation. And once the Red team establishes hatch access, actually the Silver team has a fun job tonight in the dark. They're going to go start looking for the pieces that came off of Starliner, those heat shields, some of those lids from those parachute mortars. And then after that, after Red team has hatch access and opens up the hatch, NASA's ISS program folks are going to come in for the cargo inspection.
So again, we are expecting to start seeing Starliner coming across the horizon around the time that entry interface begins. But until then, just wanted to give you guys a hit from the landing site and the latest that we have going on here. So we'll toss it back over to you in Mission Control Houston.
She's cooking.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Leah and Josh. We are watching for that entry interface as well. We're now about 12 minutes away.
I kind of want to mute it.
Starliner continuing to make good progress following in that 10:17 p.m. Central Time deorbit burn.
Again, we're looking at the landing and recovery team set up at the holding zone there at White Sands. Josh and Leah are embedded with that convoy, and they will make a very strategic move toward the spacecraft after touchdown, first stopping at about the 500-foot mark, and then they'll get the go to move forward to the 150-foot mark, and then once the vehicle is considered safe, they will move in.
You're so stupid. Oh my God. They just like knocked over a bunch of stuff in the closet. Are you kidding me? I can see it on the floor.
That's how it goes. That's how the cats
My
roll.
cats are just going nuts. I agree with you. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I wanted to wait to get a little break in the commentary. You're right. Butch and Sunny are probably just fine staying up there. It's every astronaut's dream.
With the deorbit burn complete and
Probably the most
the service
realistic.
module separated, the spacecraft's heat shield is now exposed and ready to begin experiencing the atmosphere again. The Starliner is going to make some final attitude adjustments that keep that heat shield pointing at exactly the right angle.
Attitude adjustment.
And next up after that is entry interface. Again, just coming up in a few minutes at 400,000 feet above
What an
Earth.
amazing
Starliner
view
faces
of the
temperatures of
cartoon.
3,000 degrees Fahrenheit from the plasma created by air friction around the spacecraft. But
Oh my
Starliner
gosh,
can handle that heat
another
with its heat shield,
super
which is
chat.
made of an ablative material designed to keep the inside of the
People
spacecraft
like
at about 70 degrees.
Just hanging out.
A few minutes later, Starliner will experience an expected blackout in communications, and that will last about 4.5 minutes. At 30,000 feet and just 11 minutes before landing, Starliner jettisons its forward heat shield, exposing the spacecraft's parachute system. Then 2 drogue chutes will deploy, increasing drag and significantly slowing down Starliner. Then 3 pilot parachutes will pull out the main chutes, allowing the spacecraft to continue its slow and steady descent for another 8,000 feet towards the landing zone.
And once the main parachutes are fully inflated, Starliner's bucket handle releases. And what that does is it just basically levels out the spacecraft ahead of touchdown. And then the base heat shield that protected Starliner through reentry will separate at about 3,000 feet, uncovering the landing airbags. Those airbags, of course, will fill with nitrogen, allowing for Starliner to land softly and safely there in the sand.
Less than 10 minutes to go now before we do get to that entry interface point, and now just 24 and a half minutes away from the landing at White Sands Space Harbor.
And thank you to Al.
Everything's pretty quiet in the room, which is a good sign. Things are continuing to go smoothly as Starliner begins making its way back to Earth.
What was the super chat?
Thank you, Al, for the super chat. Hard to be serious, but seriously, best of luck to Boeing moving forward. I think we will see Starliner probably take crew again in the future. But I think it's going to be much later than,
You're taking a look
August
there at
here.
flight directors Rick Henfling on the left, speaking with Mike Lammers on the right.
And wow,
Rick
Angie Vick
is the flight director for this
a
landing
generous
operation.
super
Mike
chat.
is weather flight director. They are tag teaming this operation.
Team has been keeping a close eye on weather at the landing site, but everything looks pretty good for tonight's touchdown.
Yeah, about 79 degrees Fahrenheit out there. They reported 10 miles of visibility.
Thank you.
The winds are within the limits, so we
Angie,
are
I do
looking good for a touchdown.
Sorry.
Coming up right about 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time.
They're pretty boring.
Thank you. We have a pause in the commentary. I'm glad that you guys appreciate the coverage. I was going to watch it anyway, and so I figured it'd be fun to sort of watch it together and have, a very engaging community chat. So thank you for tuning in yet again. I was streaming earlier with the first part of the undocking, and thank you for the generosity. It really is just, I'm amazed that this is my job. And that I'm sitting here doing Legos, watching this with you guys, and you guys are so kind to me. So I really do appreciate that. And another super chat. Thank you. You deserve another for your good work. Much love. I think I'm working harder at the Legos right now than
7 minutes to go now in tool entry interface.
they're
And then,
carrying the commentary.
That intense heating will start about 2 minutes after we do begin the interface. That'll last about 4.5 minutes, during which time we'll be in a blackout.
Man, they just keep telling us the same thing over and over.
Starliner is currently about 130 miles, 149 miles rather, above the Pacific Ocean, heading northward towards the western coast of the United States, and it's touchdown in New Mexico.
I'm going to be really sad when I've completed this Lego set.
I'm going to get another one immediately.
Well, I know you are, but, you know.
You have to figure out which one you want next.
I know, but, like, what even compares to this? You know?
Good point.
I have a whole other Lego rant that we could go on, but one rant, one story at a time.
We're taking a look here at the landing trajectory. There on the left of your screen, you can see that line that crosses over the Baja Peninsula, and that is the track Starliner will take as it makes its way into New Mexico. As it gets closer to the ground, people living in the area might get a bright shot of Starliner coming back through the atmosphere and landing there in White Sands, New Mexico.
You can also see there in the center of the screen the to-do list, basically, before we do get to landing. The service module separations highlighted in green because that one's already taken place. And next up is the entry interface, about 5 minutes away from now.
Bring it 5 minutes away. You know, it was really cool. I had 3 people recognize me at the YouTube Bid Summit, which, you know, it's for mainly.
And flight controllers here in the room are reporting good attitude for that entry interface
Yeah,
coming up again in just under 5 minutes.
I gotta wait to go on my rant. Oh. Jessica says, as parents, it could be a break from the kids.
What?
Maybe the Legos?
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have kids yet, but, you know.
Pretty soon.
Something could be a brewing in the future.
Yeah, pretty soon.
Now, I am not pregnant, so no, I'm not pregnant, but I do want kids. For the record. Any update on Polaris Dawn launch? They're still waiting for that weather window. There's been some, you know, official dates being reported all over X or Twitter, whatever you call it. But Jared Isaacman, the mission commander, the billionaire who's self-funding it, has said, no, we're standing by, but we would need basically 30 hours once we have a favorable weather window to get everything ready. And so they don't have to. They're not only concerned about the weather for the launch, they're concerned for the return profile because they're not going to the ISS. So they don't have really much, you know, wiggle room.
How long is this total thing from like
5 days?
Okay, yeah.
5 days, and they're going to be doing the EVA or the private commercial spacewalk on day 3. But it has just been delayed. The first delay was due to a ground side helium leak, and the second delay was due to unfavorable weather. And it just apparently weather in Florida right now is not good. And, you know, it's really a bummer for people who flew. There was someone from Italy who flew, you know, to cover it, and he had to go home.
That sucks.
Why are you laughing?
That sucks. That's too bad.
Oh my God. Is someone's misfortune funny to you? Oh, I think I'm tired and I'm getting loopy. Oh my God. It's like so hard to see this. Oh, wow. We have another super chat. Thank
2.5 minutes left before Starliner begins to feel the effects of the Earth's atmosphere again. Everything continuing to go smoothly. Flight controllers here in the room are quiet as they're working through their stuff.
What is the
all
point of
going
saying
well
any of
so
this?
far. Starliner is in position to begin experiencing that heat from re-entry.
She gonna get
now
hot.
less than 100 miles above
She
the
gonna
Earth
get
and
those hot flashes.
heading towards the Baja Peninsula.
Thank you for the super
We'll be
chat.
flying over that before landing in New Mexico.
Re-entry is drama, crew or not. I mean, we're all here for a reason.
Just 17 minutes to go until landing.
Okay, well, maybe just don't say anything so I can say something. I'm scared if I mute it, I'm gonna miss something actually important. So we're gonna keep doing this dance until it's done, and then I'm just gonna rant away. The later it gets, the more unhinged I become. It truly is Ellie after dark. Yeah. Ellie's Nerves of Steel stays on mission with the live stream in Lego build as the cats destroy the house around her. They
Less
are...
than a minute now until we begin entry interface.
Oh, maybe there's something important. They are being very naughty.
Again, about 2 minutes after entry interface starts, we'll begin seeing the heating really get intense, and we'll go into a 4.5 minute blackout.
Interesting you say try the space shuttle Lego set. I have already done that. That was actually my first major build ever, and this is my second build ever. And it happens to be 18 plus. Pretty expensive, pretty complex. Okay. It's very important to look at all the details on the Legos. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky.
Team here in the ground reporting entry interface has begun. They're seeing good range.
Good range.
Seeing another view from the landing site, or the teams getting ready to move out to the landing site here. A little better idea from this view of exactly how dark it is out there with all the lights of the vehicles shining.
Dark.
A minute and a half until we move into the blackout period for Starliner. And 14.5 minutes until we land in White Sands, New Mexico.
White Sands.
The Starliner enters Earth's atmosphere at 17 times the speed of sound, which could create a sonic boom for folks living in the area. It will then be slowed down by parachutes to a speed very similar to what you might experience while going down an elevator inside a high-rise building. The vehicle then comes to a safe, comfortable stop at landing.
Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. Holy crap, guys. Wow. Oh, thank you, Rosalio Salas, for the very generous super chat. Thanks for all you do. Love watching my home area mountains in the infrared. Beautiful area and history there. I have never been to White Sands, New Mexico. And it sounds like, there's an awful lot of testing down there. It would be really cool to see.
30 seconds now until the blackout period begin.
Yeah.
Due to the compression of friction and friction of the air, the molecules generate a very hot plasma that causes the red-orange glow you often see appear in post-flight imagery on many spacecraft. Although we won't get to see that tonight, it will happen. It causes an expected communication dropout. This one will last 4.5 minutes as the vehicle goes through a time when plasma interferes with a satellite signal. We expect that blackout to end around 10:52 p.m. Central.
Well, this is also the time that I mentioned earlier where a Starliner in the past 2 flights has gotten that black mark along the sides of it, and that just really proves to our team that the ablative heat shield or the ablative material around Starliner is doing its job, and the heat shield is pushing that plasma away.
It's blackout time again. Lasts about 4.5 minutes. We've got about 3.5 left of it. After that, the milestones we'll be watching for include forward heat shield jettison at 10:56, when Starliner is about 4.3 miles above the Earth. Very soon after that, almost immediately, drogue chutes deploy. Those give a little bit of an initial slowdown to the vehicle before the really large main parachutes deploy. That happens when the Starliner is about 2.5 miles above the Earth.
Oh my God, these comments. Kids make you realize why animals eat their young. What is wrong? What's going on, you guys? I have been enjoying your laughter and content. It's like being a big space family. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Honestly, this is actually really fun. I don't have to edit. We're just hanging out. We're making jokes. My cat is really testing my patience right now. And we are still in the blackout for communications with Starliner, as it is pretty close to landing. So we're going to keep streaming live. We're going to keep streaming live. What are the cats' names? Okay, another question. Pinocchio is the much larger one, and Oliver is actually still large. I had to take him to the vet recently, and the vet was like, "Oh, he's kind of chubby," and I'm like, "Whew, you should see his brother. His brother's packing some weight." So Pinocchio and Oliver are my two cats, and I love them very much, even though sometimes they're just, well, they're naughty boys.
This is a live view from the International Space Station, where we're able to get a view of Starliner's track as it comes in. We are now less than 10 minutes away from landing at the White Sands Space Harbor, scheduled for 10 or 11 p.m. Central. Also getting reports that the WB-57 is also able to see Starliner now as it begins coming in for its landing. We've still got just about a minute left to go before Starliner comes out of its blackout period.
I'm actually getting a little suspicious. Like, I feel like they might, but they don't want to have it actually streamed to the public.
Ellie After Dark sounds like an OnlyFans channel. Ellie After Dark, do go on. No OnlyFans, just basically, I get a little bit more unhinged, a little bit more honest. It's a good thing I don't have a boss.
And this is a view from the WB-57, one of NASA's aircraft that is at the landing site, has been staged and ready to pick a Starliner, or pick up the view of Starliner as it comes in, and that is what we are seeing now.
And they're filming this video from about 16,000 feet.
The BB-57 should continue to give us a view until the drogue parachutes deploy, and then we hope to pick it up with the Cessna that is also in the area.
And flight controllers here in the room are reporting that we are out of that blackout period and everything is looking good. Starliner remaining nominal as she returns to Earth.
Again, this is a view from the WB-57.
That is quite a view.
Starliner showing a beautiful streak across the sky as she returns to White Sands, New Mexico. We're about 3 minutes away from the forward heat shield jettisoning. That's the next milestone we're looking for.
Starliner is currently about 27 miles above the Earth, and the team at Wyatt Sands reporting that they have seen it. We got a tally hole from them reported remotely.
Oh my God.
That means they are seeing Starliner from the ground there in New Mexico.
Love your grammar. I don't know if that's sarcasm, but thanks for the super chat. Anyway, Gabriel, I am an English major, so I should have pretty good grammar. I don't know if that's a bad comment.
This view is coming from the Cessna that's also in the area, picking up Starliner now from its lower altitude, about 6,000 feet above, whereas the WB-57 is about 16,000 feet up.
I'm blown.
We are
Super
now just 6 minutes and 22 seconds away from landing.
Thank you, Mike and Luis.
We should also just be a couple minutes away from the forward heat shield jettison, which will bring on the drogue parachute deploy, followed by the main parachutes.
Now it's getting some good views. Yes.
And the strobe lights on
Okay.
Starliner are now on.
We have someone that saw it briefly in Phoenix. It's pretty cool. No.
Starliner is now over the landing site, and that strobe light will help the teams actually track Starliner on the ground because it is very dark out there.
Now about 12 miles above the landing site and just 5 minutes away from landing.
5 minutes away? Okay, good. Then I won't have to be competing for the floor. Whew. Well, it's unfortunate it's dark because it would be cool to see, a better view of this, but at least it's something better than nothing.
Watching now for the forward heat shield jettison. That should be coming up. Again, making way for the parachute deployment.
By the way, I'm not the only one doing Legos right now. Or Lego. That's a big debate, too.
All right. And that action you're seeing on your screen, forward heat shield and drogues out.
Oh, now it's getting good.
Really interesting view of this coming down from the WB-57. See those two drogue parachutes now deployed. They slow the vehicle down initially until it gets to a safe speed for the enormous main parachutes to follow.
Yeah, these are the baby parachutes, the drogues. And then we're going to have 3 of the big boys.
About 4 minutes to go until touchdown.
Woo! Oh, man. You were hoping it would
Now back to a view from the Cessna aircraft in the vicinity of the landing site. Again, this is a view from a little lower than the WB-57 we were seeing.
Oh, it's getting better. Okay, you guys. The big moment's coming.
The next thing we're going to see here is the 3 main parachutes come out, and everything will happen pretty quickly from that point on.
3 months in space for Starliner. Supposed to be 8 days.
After those mains are out, we'll see the bottom heat shield that has been protecting Starliner through its journey through the atmosphere come off. That makes way for the landing airbags to deploy.
And there's the main parachutes there on your screen. We see 3 out, currently reefing.
Those are big.
And the teams at the landing recovery teams report that they heard booms as those came out.
3 good mains fully open there. You can see Starliner in a slight tilt, so we're going to see the rotation handle move here shortly, and it will level out Starliner. But 3 good parachutes, looking great.
Looking great.
Just a little over 2 minutes until the expected landing time, and we heard the rotational handle has been released, so you can see that tilt evened out. Next up is the back heat shield jettison.
Oh, wow. Luis from Mexico says.
And there it goes.
Able to see the.
That again makes way for the airbag inflation.
I hope you took
Nice
a video.
to see that. You can see the airbags deploying there on your screen. Those airbags are filled with nitrogen as they guide Starliner safely back to the desert floor.
Wow. Thank you for the super chat. Do you have a video of you seeing the streak for 2 minutes? That is super cool. That is very cool. Thank you. Sounds like some of you guys were able to see it tonight.
Just a beautiful sight as Starliner makes its way to the sands of New Mexico. And flight controllers confirming 6 good airbags.
Hey, they forgot something.
You still coming into us from the Cessna. We've got just about a minute left to go until the expected touchdown. I'll be watching for that time for you.
Okay, so shortly here it will land, and I guess the astronauts would have made it safely.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, like, to think about what ripple effect that's going to have. You know, we think about the butterfly effect, right? Like, if they would have come home and now they're staying there for 8 months, you know, what's going to happen with their families down here on Earth? Is there going to be
just about 15 seconds away from
totally
expected
different
touchdown?
plots?
Right.
It's crazy, you know.
You're seeing the ground there in your screen
Significant
as we get closer.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Daniel says, honestly, was hoping for it to fall apart on re-entry.
I appreciate the honesty.
I think it's kind of funny. You guys are really anti-Starliner. I mean, look, I feel a little bad for Starliner itself. Starliner, it's, you know, it can't help how it was made. So,
Yeah.
feel bad for Starliner. Be honest, we all were. I mean, yes. Was there some piqued interest?
Touchdown. Starliner is back on Earth. That landing coming at 11:01 and 35 seconds Central Time, 10:01 and 31 seconds Mountain Time at White Sands Space Harbor at the U.S. Army's Missile Range in New Mexico.
Did not blow
Our landing
up.
and recovery teams will now wait for clearance before making their way to the spacecraft.
Did not blow up, guys. Sorry.
One of the changes required with no crew on board is that the team here in the flight control room will be the ones to command the parachute to be cut away so that the wind doesn't pull the capsule along. But that's no problem for them. So now with Starliner down, they can begin working on some of the post-landing to-do items. Again, we saw Starliner touchdown at 11:01 p.m. Central Time. That's 1 minute after midnight Eastern Time, or 10:01 p.m. Central at the landing site in New Mexico. This is a view from the Cessna, still watching the drones slowly make their own way down. Those, of course, are the drogue parachutes that preceded the main parachutes, first slowing Starliner down before the large parachutes opened.
Really just a flawless and beautiful descent of Starliner today. Even heard some cheers and clapping in the background.
Christopher says, let's see how crispy the suits got before we start a high five party. Yeah, well, will they even show us? 2,400 people watching at 11 p.m. That's crazy. You guys, this story has generated so much interest. It has honestly shocked me. I've been, in the space news game now for a couple years. I've tried to cover other companies. It seems like SpaceX really gets most of the attention, but when there's drama involved and when there's a conflict, boy, I mean, I think the whole, nation was tuning in to what was happening. I've had so many people ask me just, in passing, like, "Oh, you cover space? What's going on with those astronauts?"
This again is the drogue parachute still making their way to the ground after Starliner has touched down with its main parachutes. Touchdown came at 11:01 p.m. Central Time. The team here in Mission Control will be working through some post-landing steps now.
Thank you for the super chat, Fell Night Gaming, Butch and Sunny. Dude, where's my car?
That's a good one.
You're making my boyfriend laugh. Now, you guys, I'm making this castle. What do you think is the Lego set next to me? There's another Lego set being constructed right as we speak. I am not the only one having fun with Lego right now.
View here of Starliner
Leave your
at
guests.
its landing site in White Sands at Space Harbor.
So far, so good.
Landing and recovery teams will soon begin making its way out to them to begin recovering the spacecraft. The team here in Mission Control is polling right now to see if everybody is ready to power off the vehicle. That again is a step that the flight control team has taken over with the lack of crew on board.
Once the spacecraft is powered down, they will be transitioning control of the spacecraft over to the landing and recovery team. And it's a little difficult to see in this shot, but there is a strobe light on Starliner that will help the teams follow it out there.
This is like the most scatterbrained build.
And the recovery team is on the move, but I think Leah Cheshire and Josh Barrett, our colleagues out there, may be able to give us one last update. Leah and Josh, can you hear us?
Great landing of Calypso. I don't think there could be a
Brady,
better
hopefully.
birthday.
Obviously, we did have really a great show. We were able to see the cameras that you were watching too from the WB-57, from the Cessna, from the International Space Station. But
Leah, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Concur. It's been a really amazing day.
Yes.
We were hearing a bit from Space to Ground there, but I think they've concluded, unfortunately. We'll see if we can get a recording of that for folks listening at home. But Leah, go ahead with your update.
Ooh.
Yeah, sorry about that. Couldn't hear that one here. So, but here
Sunny, MCCH here. Rick just wanted to offer that he's got one more hour here.
Hey, it's his birthday here.
Yeah, and that's what counts. Yeah, it was a good landing. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you, Gabriel, for another super chat.
You are the best. You are the best.
You're the best.
Thank you.
You guys are the best.
Sunny Williams there offering a slightly early happy birthday to Flight Director Rick Hempling. He will be celebrating his birthday on September 7th, but technically in Houston, we're still a little less than an hour away from that. They are, of course, already on September 7th at the International Space Station. But Leah, if you were still with us, we'll still take that update if you can give it to us.
Yeah, so as I was saying, we got to see the capsule and the plasma trail coming up over the mountains from the southwest. And we were all still standing outside the convoy to watch that happen. But the most unexpected part was when I could hear the main parachutes being deployed. It was very faint, just a little bit of a rumble. But that strobe light really helped us identify Starliner as it was descending, and it would reflect a little bit up onto those parachutes. So we actually had a decent view as it was coming down under those chutes. And now we are actually on the drive out, and we can see the strobe light. It's giving us a great direction as we head toward the capsule.
Man.
Yeah, that's right.
Looks like
We're actually
MVP
making our way down
Yeah, they're very
the former space shuttle runway, literally driving right down the middle of it. Starliner is a little bit towards the southern end, so we see that strobe kind of in the distance there. But we will make our way to the 500-foot mark, where Gold Team will move in and begin their assessments. And then once they declare that proximity operations can begin, the recovery ops will really get underway.
And with that, I think we were going to toss it back to you, Brandy and Lauren. If you don't hear it from us again tonight, just wanted to say thanks for letting us be part of the broadcast and give you the perspective of all the hardworking ground teams, both NASA and Boeing, out here at White Sands in New Mexico. So with that, sending it back over to Mission Control Houston.
Thanks so much, Josh and Leah. It's great to see Starliner home, and I envy you the up-close view, but we appreciate your updates.
I do too. Starliner has returned safely. Well done to the entire team for completing the mission with a successful undocking, deorbit, and landing. Starliner has once again proven herself a safe ride to and from space. On behalf of the entire Boeing team,
And why isn't there crew? What are you talking?
And with that, we will also wrap up our coverage tonight. We would like for you to stay tuned for our 12:30 a.m. post-landing news conference. That is 12:30 a.m. Central Time, so about an hour and a half, a little less than an hour and a half from now, when we'll be giving you final thoughts on the activities of the night. But Starliner is home again. The landing came at 11:01 p.m. Central Time, and with that, we will sign off. Thank you so much for following along with us. This is Mission Control Houston.
Okay. All right. So, oh my God. So that means that they're coming back on in, did they say 30 minutes for a final briefing? Gabriel, thank you again for the super chat. I think this was to be expected. There was probably a 99% chance of success. I agree with you. The NASA wanted a 99.9% chance. P.S. No sarcasm about your grammar. I meant it. Thank you. I am glad that I passed the grammar test. Oh, no. Nope. We're not trying to play more videos. No. Sorry. Okay, so when did they say the news conference is going to be? Did they say 30 minutes?
I wasn't listening to any of it.
You weren't listening to any of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so what is your guess, by the way? This is off topic. We're talking about Legos right now for a little bit. What is your guess about what my boyfriend is making? I am obviously making a Disney Princess Castle. In my opinion, this is the best Lego set. I've already made the space shuttle, so it's going to be a bummer when I'm done with it because I think it's the best. So
I bought the second best.
Wait, yeah. So let's see. Michael says, "Jonathan, peek your head on screen." He said no. Oh my God. Okay, 12:30 a.m. assuming Central Time. So in an hour and a half from now, are you for real? Oh, in 1.5 hours. Who's gonna stay awake for that? I mean, I guess I don't know, dude. I don't even know. Okay, someone guesses that you're doing Hogwarts Castle.
Terrible guess. Okay.
Oh, you're so savage. He said it's a terrible guess. Well, okay, so I'll take 2 more guesses. What is being made next to me? Star Wars Legos? Again, no. Lunar Rover Lego? No. A Formula One car? No.
It's actually not a bad guess, though. I think that one.
Ken's Mansion? No. A 3D printer? No. Ellie, you just need to chat it up for 90 minutes. I mean, we could keep doing Legos.
Yeah, I'm not going to stop.
So.
I'm just not going to stop. So I'm going to finish it tonight.
Why would you finish it tonight?
Because I need to buy the Titanic one tomorrow.
Oh my God, dude.
I don't have
For
much
real?
left.
Okay. If he's a real man, it has to be Star Wars. I'm going to guess the Millennium Falcon. That's my guess, and I'm sticking with it.
That's not a terrible guess. I hate to say it. It's not a bad guess.
Not a terrible guess, but you're wrong. Oh my gosh, I like literally, my eyes have been terrible today. I had to change my contacts twice. Boyfriend is building Starliner Lego. That does not exist, and no, he is not. The Nightmare Before Christmas? No.
More hyped on that one, though.
X-Wing Fighter? McLaren F1? So far, no.
Significantly more nerdy than anybody has named yet. Significantly more nerdy.
Your boyfriend? Oh my God, someone's on the right track. Your boyfriend's making one of those fancy historical buildings.
Yeah, there they go.
What? Someone's on my Instagram, if you know that. A Royal Bucky's, Ken's Castle. Okay, I just need to show you. Can I turn it for a second and show them?
Yeah, or you can grab the box too.
Well, why don't I show them the real thing? Screw the box. Okay. Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Oh, I got it.
So here is his progress. Oh my God. You are done with it basically.
Pretty sick.
Wow. That is really cool. Okay. Well, I still think mine is cooler. No offense.
Mine's cool, but it's cool.
Yours is not cooler. They said we saw him. He's real.
Oh, yeah.
There were some comments earlier saying, "Oh, she has a boyfriend." What do you think about that?
I get it.
You get it?
Yeah, I get it.
What does that mean? Okay, I am getting so confused about where I am in my set.
Well, which one are you going to buy next?
What am I going to buy next?
Yeah.
It's a tough one because I don't think there's so we were talking about this last night, and there are a few Lego sets that are, for 18 plus right now that are something, if I'm making this, I'm going to keep it on display. Like I'm making it and I'm putting it on display. And there's just not very many that, I guess maybe the Eiffel Tower, maybe, but
right.
It's like, we don't really want to buy the kids Legos and make them. I want the challenge. This is challenging. This is, how many pieces is this? What does the box say? It's like 4,500 or something?
Yeah.
5,000? This is 4,837 pieces. Let me see it. Actually, sorry. Thank you. This box is worth $400. Just kidding. But this is, a complicated, it's going to take me more than one sitting. I like the challenge. I don't want to just buy a tiny little thing and have a bunch of tiny crap. I want to have something big and impressive. And so I think Lego needs to expand their, what would you call it? IP sort of sets.
Yeah.
For adults.
Right. They need to have more. There's literally just not that many.
Scott says the Eiffel Tower took him 22 hours.
Wow. I heard the Eiffel Tower is good, but it's very repetitive, is what I've heard about it.
It's repetitive. Is that true? Can you concur, Scott? Was the Eiffel Tower very repetitive? Yeah, it just doesn't look as, this is how much better can it get than this? Actually, you know what? I do know what I would want to buy next if you buy Titanic.
Which one? Was it in the store?
No, it was on eBay.
Oh, okay.
The limited edition Japanese Tokyo castle.
That would be actually cool, that buffalo.
And, but it's also really expensive because it's not.
It's not on print anymore?
Yeah, right. It's retired. It was retired in 2022, remember? My cat ran away. My cat is not under the box. Okay. Oh, I wish that there was a way that they could see what I'm doing better, but oh well. Okay. is very hard to talk to the chat and focus on Legos. I'm like hungry. But after that, are you hungry?
Maybe. I mean, I'll eat if you're gonna eat.
Well, but are you, or am I alone here? We ate the same thing.
Wait, did I mess up? I
think I had
messed
more
up.
than you. Maybe it's because I worked out. You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Oh my goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. So how many of you guys are going to stay up for the briefing? I guess looks like we might. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of tired.
Are you tired?
Yeah. We've been watching an older show, not that old, but not current, called A Good Place, or The Good Place? The Good Place. And honestly, it's kind of surprising how much I like it. At first, I was like, yeah, this is kind of goofy, you know. But I actually really like it.
I think it's pretty good.
You like it?
Yeah. It's pretty clever writing.
Makes you feel happy?
Yeah.
Happy? Oh my gosh. Lego Starbase with a Mechazilla port. Yeah, that would be so cool if there was. And that's what, honestly, that's kind of what makes me LOL a little bit about the sets. We went to the Lego store in Austin, and they have like an SLS rocket. And I'm like, the SLS program is like such a fail right now. You know, why don't we have what it is?
Yeah, I know.
It's not like this. Like, why don't they have any SpaceX Legos?
Yeah.
Like, SpaceX has been carrying the industry for how many years now? And what you put your money and collaboration into is to making an SLS, which like might be obsolete pretty soon here. Like, so many bad things are coming out about, you know, an unqualified workforce, all sorts of problems. And why would I want to buy that? It'd literally be like, it's like when you buy a sports jersey and then the person's like traded, and it's like that jersey is like obsolete, you know?
Right.
Just my 2 cents. Okay, I think I'm like messing this up actually, for real. I think I've gotten a little bit too carried away, and now I feel a little bit lost. Turns out I cannot talk and do a live stream while also doing Legos.
Well, I'm still frustrated. Lego doesn't do any military stuff. I'm still angry about it. I'm so angry about it.
You're angry that Lego doesn't do any military stuff.
Yeah.
Why?
Because like World War One, like.
Wait, can
like
you guys
battleships?
hear him? I want to make sure that they can hear you. Can you guys hear? Talk.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
You're talking so quietly.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
So my boyfriend's gripe is that Lego does not offer. He said,
Doesn't offer modern military, which would include basically World War One.
Modern military.
Which would be so many sick like battleships from then. It'd be so tight, but I guess it's too violent for them.
I can't see this, so I'm going to have to pull it in a little bit here. Yes, I want Lego military, says Crimson Storm. Michael says we can hear Jonathan loud and clear. Lego aircraft carrier for the win. I agree.
And like, is World War One even like a controversial war at this point?
Legos used to, and it was great. SLS would have been cutting edge in the 1990s. I can't say I disagree with you. SLS was obsolete before the design was completed. True dat, true dat. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you think that you would want to have like modern warfare Lego sets? Why do you think that they don't?
I think it's totally like a violence PR kind of thing.
It's just like a
support it, but that's like it's not even modern. Like, why not World War One? Like, you know. But I'm assuming they would sell very well, particularly like warships and like battleships and all that stuff.
Okay, Luke, are you asking me what my favorite Lego set is? Because honestly, I gotta tell you, it's this princess one. I love it. So this is the front of it, and I'm not done with it yet, but this is the front. We have, princes and princess characters. And then there's also this sort of open facade in the back where the characters will be able to like turn table, and I mean, I don't know, I have to make it, but it's going to be very cool, and it is by far my favorite. So it is $400. Just gonna put it out there. It's not cheap, but
yours is very sick though.
It's very cool. I can't believe I've become such a Disney fan. It's so crazy. I have the Titanic with lights on display. That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's definitely my next one. That's
yeah.
For sure my next
You're
one.
Very obsessed with the Titanic. You should have just gotten it.
I know, but I wanted to start off smaller.
Why? Go big or go home.
I know.
Oh my god, dude! I'm like, oh my god, I'm like breaking this. Okay. I'm sort of losing my place in my Lego set. Having trouble multitasking here, so yeah.
I really like this. One thing I really like on the set is that you build it like they built it back in the day. So you get these little pages every once in a while that are like, in 1245, all towers were completed. And as you build the towers, blah, blah, blah. I think it's very cool. I'm really into the history stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we are going to take a pause. We've been live for almost 2 hours, so we're going to take a pause. Hopefully we'll be awake and come back for the press conference. But Starliner land.
What, 30 minutes? How long is it?
Like over an hour, I think.
Oh, God.
Or maybe an hour. But for now, thank you to everyone who has watched, who has super chatted, who has supported. Tech Gorilla says this kind of content really serves to cement the fact that you're a normal human. I wouldn't say I'm normal.
Yeah. It's going a little far.
But thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Starliner is home safely. It really didn't have anything crazy happen. And so they are going to give a press conference in about an hour. And I'll try to be back on. But
I imagine it's me patting themselves on the back, right?
Well, it might be kind of intriguing, to be honest. But thank you, Tin Man, for helping me moderate the chat. Thank you for the super chat support, questions, and for watching and joining in for the conversation. Please like and subscribe. It is free. Have a great rest of your evening for us here in the States. But I know that I have some people like Ross over there in the UK and some fans from Australia. So hope you have a great day. Here we finally got our answer with how safe it would be for Starliner to return. And, but there was just a little bit of doubt. And so astronauts Butch and Sunny are still up there until February of next year. Pretty crazy. The story still continues. It's not over yet, but at least Starliner is back here on Earth, and we'll see what they say in the press conference. I will be making a wrap-up video about this as well. So for now, have fun.